Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to another Games Full Bug development stream. I haven't streamed for most of the past week because I was working on press kit and the new trailer, and I was applying to some events and just kind of finalizing some stuff. And I didn't feel like streaming. It was like, I don't know, it was really tiring by the end of it. I just wanted to get it over with, right? So this week I'm gonna start again. Today it's Sunday, so I'm just gonna do a short little stream because I'm gonna go pick some cherries after that for a while, and then I'm gonna come back to kind of work a little bit more. But for now, we're gonna do a short little stream, and yeah, the thing that I'm gonna be working on is the new enemies, finally. Oops. So this is the agenda. This is now my... Oops. Let's see. Really? Okay, just give me a second. There we go, we back. So originally, boom, this and this was a 4-month plan, but since I spent the last month working on, polish and getting ready, like a good version of the game, so I can kind of leave it there. This is now a 3-month plan. And I'm gonna see if I manage to kind of accomplish it, right? So the first enemy that I want to work on is a small little critter, which is essentially gonna be like a miniature version of this guy. That's the idea, at least. So I'm gonna try to be fairly quick about it, at least to get like the general idea down. Let's also copy the critter from the first biome. So this is essentially, yeah, really similar. I'm just gonna try to do it with his eyes really low, and then do this kind of a thing, right? Might have gone a little bit too high, perhaps. It is the same height as this one, but it still might be a little weird. If I do it like this. Maybe like that. Kind of try to make it with the same idea. You know. This is the kind of a thing I'm thinking about. So the idea of this enemy is going to be that when you shoot it, they're gonna kind of hide in their shell. And, you know, you're just gonna... they're gonna eat your shot, right? They're gonna get protected, essentially. If I did this... You can less spiky legs. Now for the attack, you could go a couple ways about it. Okay, great. Give me this thing here. How does this look flipped? Yeah, looks decent. I don't know if I would complicate with this middle line though. I mean, I could. This is supposed to be like a mini boss, but I might change it additionally. So, now one idea for them is to kind of attack you like this guy attacked you, right? The other idea would be to have them be a like the maggots, so they have contact damage, right? Or they could have like a little ground slam attack and they could send like a wave towards you, but I might do this with this one. So the idea with this enemy, do you like these colors? I guess I don't dislike them. But yeah, the idea would be that they kind of hide down like this. You know? And they become armored, right? So they're gonna have the armor shine above. And they're just gonna eat your bullets. So essentially how I plan to do this is when a bullet is shot near them, like the problem is, I think I'm just gonna make like a bigger collider on top of them. And then if they get hit, or if they detect a bullet entering that collider, they're just gonna hide, and that's gonna have a certain amount of cooldown. And you can still snap them out of this by, you know, meleeing them. But yeah, they're gonna eat your bullets. And then this guy, he is going to hide when he's low and also heal up. So again, it's gonna be really annoying to let them be. You're gonna have to spag them. So this is gonna be one enemy, and then this one, this is the mini boss. So we're gonna kind of have the same amount as here, right? Here we have 4 basic enemies, and I plan to do a similar thing. So this is gonna be one, this is gonna be the critter, and this is gonna be a blocker, right? Then it's gonna be this one, also a blocker. This one is gonna be like kind of in the range of this one, but might be kind of different, just a little bit more annoying in a way because he heals when he gets low. So you're really gonna be have to be careful to deal with them when they start healing, to smack them. And then I also have this enemy already done, which kind of spawns these little guys and, you know, makes them charge towards you. Let me see, have I written anything? So, critter. Right, another idea is that if they're low enough when they shield, right, when they kind of go down in this position, if their health is, you know, let's say below 25% or something, right? If they just have, you know, just a little bit of HP. In that case, I'm thinking about coloring them a little bit differently, and you're gonna be able to melee attack to kind of send them flying, right? So they would like spin around and, you know, they would go flying off into the distance. And they're gonna be kind of turned into a bouncing, piercing projectile that can hit enemies, but it can also hit you, right? So there's like these other little dudes that get hit by this bullet. And if they're like hidden, I'm thinking about making them, you know, make the bullet bounce off of the wall, right? So this might be even more interesting to make the shielded enemies work like walls, because they can then bounce bullets. If the bullet has bounce, but if it doesn't, it also eats up all the how do you say? It eats up all the, how do you say? All the pierce, right? It goes through. So that might be interesting. There's some event reminders. Let me just check what it is. Games Germany, Steam sale. Probably not for me. We have the tiny teams, 1 day to submit, did that. And deadline for Boomstock. Boomstock, what is that? Let's check it. It's the second installment of Steam event hosted by Fulcrum Publishing, creating kick-ass action games. So they go boom with some level of retro, aka boomer appeal as well. This means that we'll be considering not just boomer shooters or full-on retro games, but entitled with the good old days of gaming, including remakes, remasters, colors, as long as they feature heavy focus on action and combat as well. Sure. Interesting. So let's see. How retro is your game? Full on retro, made to look, sound, or play completely as an old school game. With old school gameplay elements with modern visuals. I guess this would be the thing, right? The genre. Questionable if this makes sense for me. Boom stock. Let's see what kind of kind of games were here. Yeah, I was kind of expecting games like this. This does make sense. Well, this is definitely in my alley, right? So probably should make sense for me. Exit the dungeon. Well, there you go. That's absolutely really close to what I'm doing. Wild Bastards. Oh, that's that one. Okay. Worms Evolution. I mean, that's definitely invokes old school, right? That's funny. Serious Sam. Damn. Then there's a lot of games like this. I'm actually surprised. I've seen a bunch of them lately. And we can try, right? We're gonna just, how long is this? Ugh, 7 days, that's good. I'm just gonna write a quick email to see if this makes sense. Okay. So let's continue on this little shit. I think this does look good. Like if I compare it to the player as well, let's bring you here, right? Seems like a nice little enemy. And I can still kind of decide what they do apart from, you know, having some sort of a melee attack. I do think this is like a really interesting idea to make them fly. So one of the things that I'm gonna have to figure out is how to make shielded enemies work like a wall. But yeah, once I get that down, if I can just make that be a thing, that will be really, really helpful. Yeah, just how, like, what would be the base attack? They could also kind of roll towards you, right? But that's still just a charge attack, right? It's nothing too crazy. But yeah, essentially, I'm gonna have this. This is gonna be a drone blocker. And then this was supposed to be a spawner, which I'm not exactly sure on. It works kind of weird. I've made it into the game, and they're just a little weird. So I'm not exactly sure if I like it. One idea is that I could also have this one, or a similar one. Maybe, I don't know, maybe something like this would be more appropriate, because it's a little bit, like, I kind of like these horns because they look really distinct, or just have them be really bright. And the idea is that they're going to be like a really squishy enemy that shields every enemy around them, right? So that could be interesting in that regard. Kind of could be a little bit annoying to implement. Have to make a way to, you know, have this be as part of a toggled state if like another enemy is trying to have you shielded, so that if you know, turn on your own shield, that kind of overrides this one. If you kill this one, it's still going to be shielded because of their, you know, their own effect. And then there's going to also be an enemy similar to this one, but it's gonna have a cannon on top, and they're gonna be, you know, a mortar shooting enemy. And I think it's gonna be good because the plan is to make the levels really kind of corridory, and there's gonna be a bunch of enemies that has shields, and you're gonna have to really get close to them. And then there's gonna be this enemy with mortar shots that he's gonna be able to kind of shoot over the walls. And I'm not exactly sure if it's just gonna be a mortar bullet, or if I'm gonna make some sort of a, you know, like a Ravager thing from StarCraft, where it's like you just shoot up in the air, the bullet kind of disappears, and then there's just an indicator on the ground where the thing is gonna land, and it just lands after a second or two, right? So you have a chance to dodge. Oops. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna go from here. I have to decide though, like, how is this enemy gonna attack? I mean, I can start with hiding and walking animation and idle. So let's make I guess a new thing, probably small. I'm gonna copy the colors. make this a background layer. We're gonna make a new layer. We're gonna copy this guy, paste it here. Could it even be lower, like smaller? Yeah, maybe. How big is this? It's 7. Let's put it one higher. So this is like at a quarter. Yeah. So there we go. And do I want to have stuff be split? Let's do this. I'll just, oops. Hide all of that. Looks kind of weird. Better. Ish. Should it just go purple? No, but like this is gonna be really not that good. Huh? This does work though. Okay. So let's see. Where do we go from here? Well, do I split legs and all the rest? Not really, probably. I want to have my original little guy opened, since enemies. Since I'm pretty sure the thing is gonna be very much similar to how this guy is animated. This. Right, so this is gonna be really similar to this. I see. So let's do, we have, oops. What's the new layer shortcut? Shift N, okay. We're gonna do legs behind, and then we're gonna do body, and I guess legs front. And now we can split this thing. And so this is fine. What? Inverse. I guess. So this is the front leg, which is going to be removed from here. They have the front leg, the body, and the back legs. Like that. Yeah, that seems correct. Actually, we can just delete this and this. So this is the new tag, walk, right? And then we kind of take the front legs. Just gonna color these in. Really? Oh. Oh no, right, that's correct actually. There we go. Now we take leg behind. And this one. There we go. And now we just kind of there we go. And maybe we can do a little bit of that action. What if I do this here? I like that. Maybe I don't have to go so bright here. I just kind of did this. And it looks a lot more bouncy. Kind of like it. Okay, good. Now we need to have them, or have it, hide. So I guess just go from this to 1, 2, if you really want to. The question is, do I want to have this bottom shade? Or do I just draw it like this? Only could just simplify my life. So you go down. Wait, was this? Huh. I guess we go even more down. We hide the legs. Alright, and that's all there would be, essentially. Just like a shell on the ground. So I need to get from here to here, right? Shouldn't be too big of a deal. And it needs to happen fast as well, right? So I have to consider that. So what if I just do boom, just kind of hide down really quickly. Oops. Just kind of do a little bit of this. Boom. So this would be new tag, hide, and maybe we can do legs behind. Now let's just do legs front. And then here we would do, we'll just wait a little bit. And same goes for you, just to see how this looks. Might not even need these. Just hide, right? And we could do like a duplicate frame here and have this as an effects layer. Yeah, because it needs to be really, really fast, because they need to kind of hide when a bullet is going towards them, right? So they're going to be really susceptible to mortars and shock waves, probably. And like if you're really close, you're going to be able to kind of, you know, beat them to it. So yeah, up close they're also going to be vulnerable, but like if a bullet comes from afar and they have enough time to notice it, lasers I guess are also going to be really good. Which is kind of nice, because I think, yeah, the highest damage is bullet and shell, and the fact that they're going to be somewhat immune to them. Not immune, just a lot more annoying against them is going to be cool, because you still want bullets and shells for the DPS for bosses, right? So we have the hide, we have the walk. What else do I need? What do I have here? No, nothing. Idle, right? We can do idle. So let's just take the base frame. It's gonna do So body, boom. Let's make this idle. So how do I idle this one? Yeah, without much movement. Yeah, and when you kind of get hit out of it, they can just go back to this or whatever. I think that's fine. No, sorry. So yeah, where to go from here? Well, I need the attack animation now. Now the question is, are they gonna attack like this, or are they gonna do something else? They could also just block, right? So you should really get to them. So they could really be a blocker and nothing else. But that seems a little weird. Another idea was to just make them have contact damage. It's just, how do you differentiate enemies that have contact damage and enemies that don't have contact damage? Like, in that case, they also kind of need to just run into you, which is not ideal. They want to keep a little bit of distance-ish, so they have the time to hide. So yeah, probably some sort of an attack does make sense. Could also just have like them, I don't know, like shooting a spike at you. I don't think I want to go about doing that. So it might just be a melee attack. Might just do this. I mean, something like that, at least. Let's see. Art. Enemies. Ice biome. We're gonna call this, I guess, shield critter. Just so I have it saved in case, you know, something goes astray. So yeah, what do you do here? I really need to get the critter in the game as soon as possible, just so I can see how it works with the new kind of idea, right, with these blocker enemies. I still want to have some sort of a spawner. That's why I'm like not exactly sure. Hello? Why doesn't this work? Oh, something's wrong. Ah, there you go. Like having this shield all the nearby enemies might be a thing for like some enemy. That's like an extra thing. But I'm pretty sure that most of the time I would probably just want to have some sort of a spawner. I'm just not sure if this is the way to go. Right, this one is really basic. It just spawns the critters, right? That's all it does. I was also thinking about an idea that you could have a spawner that spawns bigger enemies, right? That could be a thing. Oh, there's an idea. What if, like, I don't know how that exactly goes into the spawner logic, but you could have an enemy that makes these little guys grow into these big dudes, right? So it's not exactly a spawner. I mean, it could be that it eats this one and then it spawns this one, right? And it could have like a long cooldown, and they would have to find the closest, you know, critter, eat them up, and then maybe spit out an egg that spawns this guy, right? And then if you would get the mutation where spawners spawn twice as many enemies, it could just spawn 2 of them. So that's an idea. I'm gonna write that down. So spawner enemy, it could eat the critter enemy and spawn the bigger version of it. Maybe it spits out an egg that then spawns the big dude, or probably easier if it just shoots the small enemy with something that transforms them into an egg. What do you call the thing? A pupa? It is a pupa. Like a pupa. Never would have thought that that's how it's... Like we say booba, I think, in my language. That's interesting.
Pupa.
Pupa. Ah, that makes more sense. Pupa. Interesting. It just hatches. Yeah, I do like that idea. I think that's like a really... It's a little bit different, right? Because... And it's also not eating them, because that's the idea I have for the final biome, where there's going to be like a shooter enemy that eats the critter, because critters in the final biome are going to be able to actually shoot. So probably like a shell, so it's not going to have infinite range, but they're really still going to be really, really dangerous, because you won't be able to kite them as well, right? And the idea for the shooter enemy is that it's gonna eat them, so they're gonna be like, you know, them eating a projectile, and then they shoot like a really strong shot. I think they're still gonna be able to shoot like a normal, you know, a normal shot. But if there's gonna be a critter, you know, around them, they're gonna eat that critter and then shoot a really powerful shot, which is probably a good idea to also make this spawner. I'm gonna write that as well. If no critters are around, maybe it can just spawn 1 or 2 eggs that create critters. So it's still going to be able to spawn little critters, right? He's going to still be able to spawn little eggs, but additionally to that, he's going to be able to transform critters into pupas, and those pupas would then kind of evolve into the bigger enemies, right? I do think that's pretty cool. Would be really interesting to have a like a boss enemy with this idea. So maybe he can, like, you know, spawn eggs that you need to shoot before they hatch, right? And he can also then transform the smaller, like the critters, into pupas. And again, you would be able to shoot them before they hatch to kind of, you know, prevent them from evolving. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Holy. So yeah, we're still though left with, I guess I have all the enemies now, which is really good. I was kind of missing the spawner enemy. I still have this one as like an extra thing if I want to, right? This still exists, and they can spawn these little chargers that then charge towards you. But yeah. Then we have these 2 blockers. I'm always kind of thinking that, you know, the blocker enemy would be something that kind of makes a lot of sense for that, for like the main kind of play style of that biome. So like the first biome has the basically a charger, which is, it's like that because it's the most regular one, right? Then the second biome is going to have the blocker, so they're going to be more focused on melee combat and on shield removal. And then the third biome is going to have a shooter critter, right? So the only one that doesn't exist is the spawner, but I don't think a spawner critter could make sense. I mean, I guess they could spawn little, what are they called? They could spawn the maggots, right? So it's like a spawner critter. That's an interesting idea. I might have that make or have that be as a like a neutral enemy, but I do like that idea. So I'm gonna write that as like a random idea, I guess. So spawner, I do have enemy ideas here, yeah. So spawner critter, when you kill it, when you kill it, it spawns a couple of maggots, or it can also just spawn maggots all the time. But I think it would be more interesting to have them be, you know, when you kill them, they spawn maggots, right? So this could be like, I don't know, like some sort of an infested thing. Like I'm thinking if there would be a fourth biome that would really be hard on spawning stuff, we could have a spawner critter, which would be really interesting in a way. But like I also have the first boss, right? In the first biome is a spawner, I think. Makes the most sense to be a spawner. Although they're kind of not really, they don't really have a type, but I guess it's a spawner. And in the second biome, it's gonna be a charger, I'm pretty sure. And then in the third biome, I mean, probably a shooter, right? So it's not like there's not a 100% that things make total sense. I could still spin it that the second biome would have a blocker mini final boss. So the final one does already make sense with the with the shooter boss and shooter critter. So the final biome is going to be really shooter oriented. And the first one, I could still make the base critter a spawner, right? Or just have this spawner critter be a part of you know, the stuff that can spawn in the first biome. So then the first biome is more of a spawner biome, the second one would be blocker, and the third one would be shooter. So the only one that would be missing is the charger. But I do really think the charger is gonna make more sense for the second boss. Because one of the main attacks that he's gonna do is that he's gonna run towards you, which is gonna have a big AoE. You're gonna have to dodge it, and then he's gonna, you know, run into a wall. He's gonna like shake the screen, and a bunch of icicles are gonna fall down, and those icicles are first gonna damage you if they hit you, but then they're also gonna spawn a bunch of little enemies, little critters, right? And he's gonna be able to like swing his beak or whatever it's called and make all of them fly around the room, so turn them into projectiles. So I just think I'm not gonna have this be part of the enemy image. I'm just gonna add them to the projectile images. Which is essentially just gonna be this, and it's gonna probably be a bit brighter and gonna spin around or something. Maybe we're gonna give it like a red edge so you know to dodge it, right? So it's like visually clear that this is a bullet now. Okay. So yeah, I have to kind of decide what he's gonna do. So maybe I can try to get a feel for how the other enemies are gonna look like, perchance. So some sort of a shooter, let's see. The thing that I'm worried about is if I make the enemies have the mortar shot, it's gonna be a little too fast for you to dodge. So that's why I'm thinking about making it like shoot up into the sky and then like fall down, like some sort of an orbital strike. Let's bring this down a little bit. Oops. So let's see. Let's spawn this. It's like it's a little fast. Or maybe not. You can still kind of, you know, if it kind of shows where it's gonna land, that's something that I need to do. I need to kind of write an indicator, and then it should take the speed or the range, I guess, and just kind of spawn the indicator where this is gonna land. Oh. There you go. Yeah, this could be not too fast, right? Could be fine. I guess we'll see. I just kind of don't have a really good grasp on what the thing should look like. I could also just kind of test it out, just have this enemy for now, you know, just make a copy of this enemy and just make him shoot mortars instead of a normal bullet. Like, this is, I guess, one of the problems that I'm like a really visual guy, so I need to... I always want to make art for stuff before I put them into the game, because otherwise, I don't know, I just can't get a good feel for... I guess I should be able to, right? At least for the stuff that I'm really not sure if it's gonna work properly. Because there's a big difference. If I want him to shoot like straight, I'm gonna draw it differently than if I want him to shoot up like a mortar, right? Although I might still use the enemy either way, right? Even if I don't use it here, it's still a thing that I can use somewhere, or like as an extra enemy that can appear, you know, here and there. There's the question of how the thing would look like. So I don't want it to be too big. So definitely somewhere in the range of this would be my like my work area, right? Wouldn't want it to be too big. Now what I could do is just have some sort of a oops. Have like a big thing in the back here. definitely be better to be done with a pen. Don't I have a tablet somewhere here? I do. I might try to use this for a bit, just as long as I have a space to put it in. Oh, sorry. Let me just figure this out real quick, and then I'm gonna fix that. There we go. I have a tablet now. It's this little one I bought many years ago, and I'm using it here and there, really rarely, to be honest. But it can be useful. Okay, let's see. Could also just have a cannon here, right? On the back. Now the problem is I don't know where exactly to go with it. Like, what would be the general shape? Could still have some sort of a shield in front. Haven't drawn the tablet for a while. Really rusty. So I'm thinking like it's encased in some sort of a spiky stuff. But it could still, at the end of the day, be like a cannon of sorts. Guess I could just do this, right? Does look a little funky though. Okay, what if I... Okay, let's clear this. I'm gonna use the mouse, Jesus Christ, I'm kind of really rusty with the pen. It always takes a little bit to learn that back. I mean, I guess that kind of works. Does it though? Okay, what if I draw I draw this, and then I just tilt it to the side. Oh. Although somehow that doesn't look correct. Or does it? It does look better though. Okay. Kind of trying to get the thing make sense. And it could be encased in some sort of a spiky idea. Let's use the grays, because I'm running out of colors. Maybe not the best choice of colors. What if I just do it with these? Mm-hmm. It's a tough call to make if this is looking good. Right now, I'm not so sure. Now I do always say trust in the process. And many artists say that because it is a really good approach. But yeah, so far I don't know exactly where to go from here. Be more of a flat leg would make a little bit more sense since it's like a heavy duty thing. It also looks strange. How big is this? The size is not bad per se. What if we would still go into this kind of a shape? Yeah, I'm not so sure about this. Now let's put a pin on this and just try to start fresh, right? Sometimes it's just nice to kind of start from beginning. What if I would just have a big old cannon up top like that, and then I make an enemy around it? What if I just take this as a base, right, and just put a cannon on top of it? Man, most likely not. It's not even that bad, to be honest. Another idea would be to just have this be a cannon that's walking around, you know, without this huge frontal thing. More to the front, you know? What if we did this? And then maybe his head is behind. No, don't know exactly how I would go about conveying that. But this could be like the nose, right? And this is his eye right here. That does look strange though. Okay. This idea is just like a strange one. Let's go back to this, but maybe what if I do this and I make the cannon purple? And then it could be encased in some sort of an armor, right? So let's see. Let's say this is the midpoint of the armor, and it would go. I'm guessing this would be a lot more to the front. Okay, let's first delete this. There you go. And now we can do maybe not so much. Let's just try to go one by one and just make this part first. So like so it's like encased in this thing, you know? Mm. So this is what I'm thinking, like a really bulky looking. You have like additional layers of this shield up here. Right, so it's like a, you know, cannon tank thing. Maybe something like this, and it's still, you know, a similar size. Just this part should be separated somehow. Unless I do this. Do 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 do. I don't mind this, and it has like a really distinct look, you know. Right. We will just kind of color it. So that's an idea for it, right? Potentially. I could again go with this secondary color for the legs. And this could, I guess, also be in these colors, but like I mean, maybe. Well, this could be a thing. Might want to change the legs up a little bit so they're not so similar. Like these two do look fairly similar. So maybe we could do something with the legs, but like now it just uses exactly the same thing. Right. Basically. I just make them a little bit more weird looking. It's already a little bit of distinction. Yeah, I think that works. Somewhat. Definitely going about it in a really somewhat of a basic way with the legs again. Right. Don't know what to do differently though. Ah. Or what if I start from the beginning with the legs? And then here we could do something like, maybe it goes back first. You know? And then we go, what if we go like down? And then we go like up, and then down again. You know? It'd have to go more forward though to make sense. So let's remove your face thingies for now. Right. What about this? I'm just trying to create some variety so that not everything looks the same. And then the back legs could just kind of go It doesn't really look that menacing though. It sure looks different. It's just a little weird. Maybe I can iterate through it a little bit more. What if I bring this up still? You know? You know? I do like the uniqueness of the shape. So I'm trying to kind of go for here, you know? But if the thing looks bad, it looks bad, right? It doesn't matter if it's unique, if it's bad. Yeah, no. Something in this direction, probably. Ugh. This does look a lot more stable, though. So I don't know. And it has this distinct shapes, right? So you can really see what's what. Here, they just kind of blend together. So the problem might also be that the colors are too similar. Right, let's say I would make use of like a brighter or more, just a more obvious color, I guess. This could be a thing that helps it. Could also just do something like this, right, and it'll really make it super obvious, so you can notice the thing. Kinda don't mind this too much, unless I want to go something like that. Yeah, we'll see what the overall look is going to be of the dungeon, because right now I have this, but I might just change these colors a lot as well. Might just have this be not really an ice cave, but like some sort of a crystal cave, with some additional thematic property that I'm not yet sure of. So this, and this. Not the worst thing. What if I make these use the red color as well? Kind of have this be a color theme. Let's see if I can do something different with this. I guess this still works. Or just kind of try all kinds of options here. That's kind of interesting. I don't mind this one. It's a little bit more vibrant than the other one. So we'll see. Maybe we can go for something like this. So I have 3 enemies. Definitely some highlights are probably in order with this one. Maybe this. I guess the whole thing could also be brighter instead. This is how it should be shaped in that case. Guess that's the thing. Right. The thing that I'm worried, did these two look too similar? No, not really, right? They both have these dome shapes, so I definitely have to do something different for the spawner enemy. Oh shit, I think I made a mistake at some point. And do this. Yeah. I can still see if I want to go another direction with these, with like the colors. But I think this doesn't look that bad. Can still swap it to this later on or whatever, right? But yeah. Definitely need to make this spawner guy a lot more distinct. And I think it's gonna be more squishy, so it's definitely gonna have less of a shield on top. So that could help it. I'm also not exactly sure how this guy is gonna work. Is he also gonna be shielded? It could be, you know, that this one is always shielded, right? So you have to go to it and kill it. It also makes a lot of sense for shielded enemies or for shooters to be shielded. Because then it makes them priority targets, right? And these smaller enemies they're going to be conditionally shielded, right? They're never going to be always shielded, so you're going to be able to just shoot them. Even the big one, right? Even though he heals, there's going to be a cooldown on that shield, so he won't be able to just hide immediately again, right? So you will be able to brute force it. But maybe the shooter enemy could be the one that is always shielded in this biome, so you have to go to it and, you know, hit it. And then the spawner would not be shielded, right? So you would be able to just kind of kill it from afar. Ugh. So I have the shooter, the blocker. I guess this one is also going to be a blocker, right? Like chargers and blockers are kind of wonky because they oftentimes work in the same way. It's not a clear distinction in this game, right? Like a blocker really should be, you know, something that just slows you down. I don't know, spawns a wall. It could, you know, shoot some webs that slow you or whatever. It wouldn't really be able to deal damage, right? So it's kind of weird having them be distinct like that. Because these two are both going to be blockers, even though they're going to have a charging attack. It's kind of funky. I'll see. Maybe that's still going to get changed later. Right, the only kind of place I really use these distinctions is when you get a debuff on a bullet, where it makes them deal less damage to specific types of enemies, or on evolutions that make certain areas attack more often. Which I think it's only for the chargers, so... Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see about that. Yeah, this one could definitely maybe have... Maybe it doesn't need to attack you, per se. Like, maybe this one can actually be a proper blocker. And this attack could be... I don't know. It could spawn ice, it could spawn a wall, right? It could spawn like ice spikes that stay up, so it would be essentially a blocker, but like it can damage you still, right, if you don't get out of the way. Yeah, so I could make this an actual blocker then. And make these little dudes charge you. We'll see. Anyway, I'm gonna go get some breakfast, and I think I'm gonna go pick cherries then, so I'm not gonna be able to come back for a while. Yeah, a little bit of a shorter stream today, as I have said, and I'll see how I go about streaming this week. I'm gonna try to do it, but I'll see how this work is gonna go and how I'm gonna be feeling, because I see that stream fatigue is definitely a thing. But yeah, hopefully I manage to make sense of these enemies, to kind of, you know, finalize like which enemies exactly I'm gonna make, what they're gonna do, and then, you know, go from there, I guess. Okay, anyway, thanks everybody for joining in. Sorry for the short stream, but you know, it is what it is. Hopefully, I don't know, I'll see. I'm gonna see how I go about streaming. It's hard to say right now. I'm gonna keep you updated, of course. But yeah, sorry, I'm just dragging this out. Thanks everybody again, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.